How's it going, everyone? It's your boy JP back with another video. Today we've got a very special interview with my personal mentor, Luke, who's really helped me so much in my sales and business journey from as low as you can be to now I'm regularly one of the top salespeople in my company right now when it comes to fitness sales. So this is a special interview, and I just wanted to pick Luke's brain and share the knowledge and wisdom with all of you who've been following my journey. So welcome, Luke. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for asking, Josh.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you for having me on your new or reasonably new channel.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's long overdue. We've been working with each other for about a year now, and I thought, there's such a great opportunity to unpick your brain, all your years of experience, and share some golden nuggets with the loyal subscribers here on the channel. So, Luke, first tell us about yourself, about your journey. You've been a veteran in this game, but just give us a background of how you got to this point in your
Right.
journey.
So, I mean, my whole background from around, I would say about 23 has been in sales and negotiation. So I moved from an IT background when I was younger. Not that I was any good at IT, but I had no education, left home at 17, kind of found myself lucky enough to get a job at IBM, worked my way through different variations of jobs in technology, got to a turning point in my junction, and I remember back in the day seeing while I was stuck in a cubicle in one of the departments of IBM, seeing the sales guy, who I didn't know at the time, who I thought was really old. I remember I was 17. I had a shared pool car, which was like a shared between four of us that we'd take home or use to drive around to see clients. We had one between four, and this sales guy, he had all the girls sat around on his desk, and he was like, well, to me, he looked really, really old. He was probably about 25. And I thought, and I was shy. I'm a natural introvert. I was super shy, and I would just wanted that. He had the XR3 iCabriolet. He had the sales support kind of girls or PAs all sat giggling on his desk, and I'm stuck in a cubicle with a burgundy Ford Escort Mark II shared between four of us. And I just thought, no, I want that. So I kind of set out on my path to eventually get that. I didn't know how. I just kind of always looked at it that's kind of what I wanted. Didn't know what it was. I didn't know why it was so good, but I had that vision of that's the position I want. And one of the things that was really I really took from it, not only getting the girls, not only having the XR3i, which those old enough will know what that is. It was also the freedom he had. He was in and out of the office, right? So if you think about it, we were working for a company, and he had the freedom to go backwards and forwards doing his job, whereas we were tied to a desk. And that was one thing I really didn't like. So, fast forward from various different, avenues in my life, I eventually came to a crossroads. One was continue in IT, and the other one was a junior, what's called a sales support role, a bit of an admin person to a salesperson in a major IT company. Big drop in salary. I'd been, within IT, I'd been flying around Europe. And then eventually I just took the plunge. I went, you know what? Let's go into this sales. And then over the years, gathered some experience, but as an introvert, um, they don't really teach you how to do sales properly. It was more of a wine and dine the client. Remember, I was young. So let's say at this time I was maybe 22, 23, no real worldly knowledge, no knowledge of understanding about food, literature, architecture, wine, travel. You don't really have a lot of experience. And the sales training back then was take your client out, wine and dine them, get to know them, and they will know, like, and trust you. And I didn't like that method at all. So then fast forward another 5, 10 years, I decided to really, really study sales, what it meant to be to sell. Why was it about know, like, and trust? Is there anything else? How could you do it without such knowledge? How could you do it if you were an introvert and you didn't like, going to bars and clubs, taking your client, wining and dining them? Was there another way? And bit by bit, I gained, I got through mentors myself. I never claim that I've invented anything. I've just harnessed that experience, that knowledge, that wisdom, and given it created shortcuts for people like, let's say for yourself, that don't have to go through all of that challenge to kind of make sales and obviously have one of what I call as the best opportunities there is. If you know how to sell, then you can always put food on the table. You'll always be in demand because people always need someone to be able to sell something, whether that's starting your own business, you need to sell it to your potential clients, or partnering and working with other companies, you can sell for them and you're rewarded handsomely for it. So I've kind of got to a stage now, obviously I've got over 30 years experience in it. And when it comes down to, what you do, which is uh, partnering up with a company where you're helping them onboard clients and enroll clients for them and for yourself. I started to focus down and specialize in doing that and teaching people and coaching people whilst continuing to do it myself, because I think it's really important that you keep your hand in it. There's no point in just becoming a coach and not doing it yourself. Imagine you being a coach in fitness, but you're not very fit, right? You kind of need to be able to keep your hand in it, even if you may not be as intense as you used to, because you're obviously looking after clients. So you may not be as fit as you could be if you didn't have clients to coach. So now, but I think it's really, really important that I continue to do both. So I close and I help people close.
Amazing, amazing. That's so many years of experience. How long did it take you to get good at sales?
I don't think there's ever an end to that journey. And it's not for me to say that, I'm good, bad, or ugly. It's the numbers started to appear. So where I'm earning 200, 300 plus per year, which is where you kind of a barometer is how much you earn. And you can earn more, by the way, if you want to work harder or sell higher tickets. So, some of the transactions that I've sold are, multi-million pound transactions from corporate espionage negotiations out of that to jet planes, Learjet planes, to software solutions, finance solutions, all the way down to information products that are two, three, four, $5,000. So to answer your question, I think that journey, I don't think it's for me to say when did I get good, but I would say after about 10 years, did I have the opportunity and the foresight to say, I want to command my own income. When I initially moved into sales, I wasn't focused on the money alone. I was focused on, hey, I'm working for a big corporate. There was great perks. There was travel, corporate credit card, lots of incentives for parties, lots of girls, lots of flash cars, all that kind of thing. So you don't really want to develop your skills. You just kind of go on that journey as a job. And then in 2007, I decided, was it 2007? Yeah, I think it was like 2007. I decided to leave the corporate world completely and just do it as consulting. So I would say in 2007, from that point on, that was where I was, I don't need to work for anyone again.
Mm. Sounds a bit like Wolf of Wall Street esque with all the girls and the cars and the high living.
It is. Look, I mean, remember when you get swept up in the corporate world, you get swept up on that bandwagon of you're not necessarily even any good. In fact, if I look back, what I know now, I didn't even know it was just ridiculous of what I know now compared to what I did then. And I
Mm,
was earning decent money when I was in corporate, but it's just ridiculous of what I didn't know. I just thought it was, going out, going to see the client, asking them what
mm,
they needed. There was never any real structured training to understand pains, needs, wants, goals, motivation, timing, how to take someone from B to B, right? It's very different, B to C, so business to consumer. is different to business because there are different decision makers involved in it, different timelines, different. You can't talk about the pain of their well, you can, but you can't really delve into the personal pain. It's more of the impactful pain of the business and then their personal career to get them to move the needle towards it. So it's very different.
Yeah.
But when I look back at what I was selling and how I was selling, it was kind of ridiculous, really. I would call it was hoping. It wasn't selling.
Mm.
I was just hoping that they bought from me. I hoped they liked me. I hoped they liked the company. I hoped the brand was big enough to carry me through that journey. And leaving work, and really start to truly understand myself, understand what selling's all about. That was when my career changed dramatically.
Mm. And Jen, you've touched on that, the sales process. And so now it's more of a skill and an art that you've developed versus just relying on the brand or you as your personality.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I mean, listen, the know, like, and trust. I'm never going to say, hey, you don't need to. If people know you, like you, and trust you, guess what? You're going to be able to be better than someone if they don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you.
Mm.
But is that the only way? No, because in particular now, if I'm selling, I have 45 minutes to 1 hour to get them through that journey to be able to close. And I don't even look at it as selling, I look at it as solving. So I don't look at it as closing, I look at it as helping and enrolling. But how can they know, like, and trust me in that period of times? Okay, they can like that period, that 45 minutes, and think they know me and like me and trust me. And believe me, what I'm telling them is truly authentic, which is what my whole morals, my ethos is. It's about authentic selling, authentic influence. Um, but there is a process to do it. And if if you take yourself out of the sale and think of solving the problem, and when you're jumping on a call, going into a meeting, your whole objective is to understand what their problem is, what their pain is, what their motivation is, what their timeframes are, what their budget is, why they would do it, what they've tried in the past, why didn't it work, why haven't they done something already, and then come up with a solution if you can solves their problem within their time frame, within their budget, within their needs, and you're going to tell them ethically and authentically, then they will buy from you. That's your role. Now, can you utilize language to motivate them to see their faults, to see their flaws, to see their procrastination, and to overcome that? Absolutely. And that's your role. But you're effectively solving a problem for them. That's what you are doing. And you can sell absolutely anything. It doesn't make any difference what it is if you understand your client.
Yeah, and that's so true because even now I've been learning more about sales. Sometimes, or many times, I'm in sales situations myself, and I find myself making decisions or procrastinating or hesitating, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Why have I felt this way? Even as something as small as buying some designer glasses that I actually needed. It was
Mm-hmm.
like £500 or something for like all the bells and whistles. I got the logo in the corner. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but the person could have sold me. They just never really
Mm-hmm.
understood what I needed. So it's just,
Sure.
it's sales environments every day. And I feel like I've got to that stage now where I'm thinking about sales and how I feel on the opposite end of the
It
spectrum.
also it'll also help you negotiate from the other side. So if you're going to buy something, if you understand what the salesperson is doing, then it will enable you to come up with a mutually beneficial solution. So I always, and well, we've talked about this in our coaching, is I always talk about selling, in particular when it's higher ticket. So we're not talking about, something that's, $20, because it could be a commodity and therefore it's needed rather than a sales process. It's simple, you've got to go in and buy it. But if it's a high ticket solution that you have choices, decisions to make, it could be an emotional decision, it could be a logistical decision. And when I say logistical, that means, can you physically afford it? You really want it, but you just physically can't afford it. Um, it's what you want to be doing is moving round to the other side of the table with the person and working together to come up with the right solution. So in other words, the solution for you is to sell. The solution for them is to solve the problem they have. And if you work together on it, and they then see that you're not just trying to push something down their necks and just so that you can get that sale, believe me, your sales ratio, your conversion ratio will increase dramatically.
Mm.
So when you walk into a shop, I always have this discussion, is 99.9% of the time, nobody window shops. You think you do, but you don't actually window shop. So as an example, let's say those sunglasses that you wanted, they were $500. And all that happens is the person comes up to you and says, hey, can I help you? And you actually were a buyer at that particular point, right? In your mind, you think, I'm going to spend $500 on some sunglasses. Now, if that person had taken the time to understand you, why you needed those sunglasses, why are you looking at $500 sunglasses? What's the benefit of that? Is it your ego? Is it to make you feel good? Is it to look good on camera? Is, what is the real reasons that you need to? They could have then discussed with you why a particular brand is better than another, or a particular shape on your face looks better than another, and then really get you involved and committed into that sales process. And therefore, you would have had a greater chance of buying, right? Even overcoming your own procrastination because you're actually committed into that conversation. You've gone round to the other side of the table working with the seller of those sunglasses. Now, I'll go back to my point is, why doesn't anyone window shop? Why don't I believe people window shop? Well, let's imagine this. You walk into a car showroom and you're looking at, I don't know, let's say a car you may like. Let's say a Ferrari. It's an easy one to use. I'm not a particular fan of Ferraris. I love them. They're beautiful cars, but I'm a bit old for a Ferrari now. I'd probably choose a different brand and a model. Right. So you go into a Ferrari showroom and you can't afford the Ferrari at all. So you're just going in, you're wandering in because it's stunning cars, and you walk around and you think you're window shopping. Sales guy comes up to you and asks you, hey, is there anything that he can help you with? And you say, no, I'm just looking. Right. But now, and that's because you, in your mind, logistically cannot afford the Ferrari. So therefore you are window shopping. But if he came up to you and he said, hey, listen, I don't know if you know, but today and today only, we have a special deal where you buy the Ferrari, you sign on a dotted line, you drive away with the Ferrari today, but you don't pay for 30 years. You can save up all the money. You've got 30 years to save it up. And now I'm kind of giving a crazy example, but the chances are you'd have signed on the dotted line because he'd solved the logistical problem. And therefore you've gone from a window shopper to a buyer. Now you're still committed to spending $100,000, but they've solved the problem that was in your mind of, well, I haven't got the money, $100,000 to spend on a car. So I know that is an extreme example, but it's true. And everything, when you walk into a clothes shop, you walk in, you're just browsing. But we don't just browse, do we? We don't waste our time just browsing. We might walk out without looking. We might walk out thinking, well, I haven't really got anything, to any time to try things on. But you just want a quick scout because you're going out at the weekend and you thought, you know what, you're in the area, let's have a quick look. But imagine you just spotted something on that shelf that was 50% off, that was returnable, that they would actually come and collect it from your home after you've tried it on. The chances are you've gone from being a browser, a window shopper, to a buyer. So if you think of every single person, they don't jump on phone calls to take a call with you. If we go back onto high ticket closing, they don't jump on unless they're actually doing market research for a competitor. They're not really selling, but they don't jump on a call to waste their time. So when someone says, hey, I just want some information, well, actually, they want to be sold to. They want some information to give themselves comfort that what they're doing is the right path to the journey of solving the problem that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, that's a lot of gems there in terms of how the buyer comes on the call. And in terms of sales, do you feel like anyone could be good at sales? Like, do you feel like anyone can really master this and learn this?
Yeah. Firstly, if you're using my methodology, I'd want you to be interested in helping. I don't care what the topic is. I don't care what you're selling. But if you're just going after the money, it was more difficult for you to be genuine, to move around the other side of the table and solve the problem, right? So, firstly, if you're genuinely interested in, let's say fitness, you're selling fitness, um, and even if it's your own business or you're selling someone else's offer, you've got to be interested, not necessarily fitness, but helping the person, right? Because they're jumping on the call for help.
Mm,
You were selling an offer that was about lead generation. You don't really need to be interested in lead generation, but you've got to be interested in helping the person that's jumping on. Because that authenticity will eventually, once you have the skills and once you know what to say, when to say, why to say, and how to say it, that authenticity will come through, and therefore you will excel at sales. If you don't have that interest, can you do it? Yes, you can. Can you learn the skills? Yes, but it'll be more robotic. It'll be more a process. And therefore, you're doing a numbers game, throwing as much against the wall and seeing what sticks. Whereas if you truly want, you know what, I want to help someone. It's not selling, remember, we're solving. So if we take the way of the sale and detach yourself from that sale and say, I'm solving the problem, I don't care whether it's selling tires for cars that have, guess what? I'm solving the problem. Well, oh, you've got a flat tire. Actually, I can fix that puncture or we can replace the tire. What do you want to do? If I fix it, it's going to be cheap, but it could go and blow again whilst you're out on the motorway doing 120 an hour. And therefore, you could put yourself in jeopardy, not only from a risk standpoint, but also you could be stranded. And that could be a lot of aggro. But if we replace it now, you won't have that issue because the chances are it's going to last longer. Where do you want to go from here, Mr. Customer? See, so it doesn't matter if
mm,
you want to solve, right? And you truly have that, and you kind of go, yeah, actually, I love solving problems. And most people do. They love to solve and help people. They listen to their friends all the time. They've got a problem. They want to give advice. They want to help. Well, we'll learn when we're doing sales is not to offer that help in the way that you do. It's more about listening, understanding, pivoting. But you people like to help, right? We like to solve. So that's number one. Number two is you want to be able to have where you're selling, you really want to be conversant with that language. So ideally your first language. So if you're selling in English, you ideally want to be absolutely fluent with that. Why? Because language is so important. If you are speaking, it's your third language, for example. I'm not saying you can't sell. And accents, okay, that's a different topic altogether. But if it's your third language, then it's going to be more difficult to get that empathy and that understanding across and humor and everything that goes inside with what makes language so great. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't need to be a master at language. I have no education whatsoever. I didn't get any O levels, I didn't get any A levels, no degree, nothing. But I took an interest in how words can impact the outcome of something, right? Which is what I will teach is like what words make an impact when you say things. And you'll have done this in your relationships with your family, girlfriends, boyfriends, everything, right? What you say can be damaging. Correct. When you say it, it's how you say it, and that can be damaging. Well, it can also have the opposite effect. It can be extremely positive. So if it's your first language or second language and you're fluent in it, then it just makes it a lot quicker to get to the outcome. So you said, can anyone sell it? Yeah. If you don't speak English, then sell something in your language, right? That's the important thing is sell it where you're very, very comfortable with language because language is really, really important. Tonality is important. Listening and then being able to quickly understand and pivot from it. And if you're always thinking about the language, like if I had to sell in Spanish, for example, even though I can speak a tiny little bit of Spanish, there's no way I'd be able to articulate the message that I want to get across to someone. So therefore, my conversions of solving problems would be significantly lower. And
Okay.
from a extrovert and an introvert point of view, it doesn't matter. I
Mm.
am a introvert. I've done lots of tests, with Myers-Briggs and all these different kind of tests to see what my true um, personality traits are, and I am definitely an introvert. So you do not need to have the gift of the gab. You do not need to be, the jovial person that everyone gravitates towards around at a party. Um, what I do want you to do though is if you're an introvert, you are typically better at getting your passion across. So if you're an introvert, the powerful and positive thing for all introverts is we're very, very good at speaking on stage, speaking on one-to-one basis about our topic, about our passion, because we don't really care about the outside energy that's coming back, feeding back. An extrovert feeds on energy. So imagine I stood up on stage in front of 5,000 people. If they were listening to me or not, and laughing and joking or whatever, it doesn't matter. I know my topic. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to help them. I know what I want to deliver. An extrovert can struggle with that because they need the energy of the audience to go along with them. So we've got some
Mm.
advantages and disadvantages, introvert and extrovert. And there's lots of different personality traits, which we haven't got time to go into. But yeah, pretty much anyone can.
Mechanism, yeah. That's remarkable. You made a couple of points there, and I never knew about the whole no O levels, no A levels. So you've learned a completely different skill set to the traditional education system, and still come out with a fantastic career and income and everything and all the
Sure.
freedom you want. So it's a completely different skill set from you can't learn this in school. Sales, it's something
It's
completely
which
outside.
is which is kind of strange, but the school education system to me is broken from I don't want to go into the politics side of it, but from a timing standpoint, some people are good in the mornings and some people are good in the evenings. 7 a.m. and it's great all the way through in the evening. Well, why isn't school set up to start at that time? For lots of people are like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's interesting, and even what you was talking about, because we've had many conversations where you've kind of grilled me. You're like, we wouldn't talk to your mother like that. Why are you talking
Yeah,
to them like that? Because a lot of the times you grow up and you think of a salesman, that slick talking salesman, I can sell ice to an Eskimo, and those people that really kind of get their way and really, what's the word? They are almost unreasonable and kind of like a brute in terms of they're just very hard-headed. That's the kind
mm,
of person I would typically think of might have been born that way or through nurture. They in the playground, they get the toy, they have to have the toy, they'll persuade everyone to give them the
true.
toy. But the way you've just described it was almost like complete opposite of how can I help you? It's like selfless kind of love and
Absolutely. Yeah.
spirit.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are those salespeople that will go down that route and that high pressure, and they're fantastic with words and they corner you. And everything you say, they'll corner you into a different way. But the clever salesperson, the very good salesperson, is really about handling with through questions and questions of questions and understanding the answers and having that true discussion. The objections don't ever come because they're overcome with questions, and the customer will already have answered themselves. No different to when you're in a debate with your friends in the pub. What most people do is if they throw up something, I don't know, let's say it was something about uh, global warming, right? You have a different opinion from your friend. So your friend is really into global warming and says that, the world is going mad, and he's coming out with some fantastic data-driven answers, right? So data-driven points about why we are all ruining the world and it's causing global warming, right? You're sat in a pub and immediately you kind of battle that person because let's say you're on the other end of the spectrum. Doesn't really matter. But in this example, you're the other end of the no, it's all a load of nonsense. The government are making it up. This has been going on forever, right? So what the ideal situation is to understand your and then ask him questions about where his views have come from, where he's got his data from, how does it impact him by reading that data? Why is he believing that data and not your data? How is it going to affect the whole situation if he's just taking that information from one deposit and you've got data from another? By asking those questions, then you're getting into a debate. You're trying to solve that problem and come out with an amicable solution. What most people do, just like on a sales call, you get an objection head to head. You get into battle mode. And I always say to you, it's like when you're not only when you're in battle mode, not only when you're in that heat of the moment with the client said, no, it's too expensive. No, I've got to ask my partner. No, I don't like the product, whatever. You go into kind of a little bit of a facetious, sarcasm. You kind of try and turn it around. Well, does that work? Very rarely does it work when you go into battle mode. It just doesn't work. Why? If you started to battle me because I said I couldn't afford it or it was too expensive, and let's say I just told you I've just bought a Ferrari, and then you try to sell me on a $10,000 fitness program, and I said, oh god, no, that's too expensive. And then you turned around and said some, comment about, yeah, but you just bought a Ferrari. What do you think that's going to solve your health? That's just going to put me resistance. That's just going to give me resistance, and my barriers are going to go up, and you're never going to sell to me. And in most instances, that would be the case with everyone who's, particularly if you can afford a Ferrari, because you've got something about you to be able to afford the Ferrari in the first place. So egos then get into play, and then the whole sales breaks down. So that's number one. You never want to get into that battle mode. Number two is when you're on calls with people, and that's just what we've talked about, is when you're talking, and every offer has their own version of a script. And I always try and move away from script, call it a framework. And the reason it's a framework is because a script is off a film and you know what the other person is going to answer and reply to that script. Whereas a framework is about navigating around answers you will never know what they're going to say. You've heard them before 1,000 times, but you don't know which one the client is going to block out the air. So I want people to talk to their potential client, their prospect, just like they would be talking to their friends or their mother. Why is it that we have this telephone voice that is too rigid, it's too structured, it's too important, or it's too friendly, or it's too yay man? And no, it's all about adapting and just have a conversation. Follow the framework, but in the tonality of what you would talk to your friends or your family. No swearing, of course.
Yeah, of course. And it's interesting, even everyone can have the same script, but the way it's presented, the way it's delivered, the tonality, the way the person listens and picks up on can vary from person to person. And even listening to different, because on my journey you've been mentoring me. However, I always listen to books and I'm always trying to learn and
Sure.
take up different sources. And it's interesting how so many people have so many different angles. I don't think I've ever heard two people that sound exactly the same when it comes to sales. And
Yeah, and,
is
and
it
there's no right and wrong with it. There really isn't. And there's tons of gurus out there that are well known, very good. What I call them is very good marketers, never necessarily very good salespeople, because they're online, they've got their social presence, and that's fantastic marketing, right? So they're doing something right. But I would never say that they're wrong in their methodologies. I would never say that, don't go and follow a particular person, because if it's worked for them and they're authentic, if they are authentic and they're not like just making up all this data, then why wouldn't it work? The challenge you've got is it going to work for you? Right? Just because the keto diet works for 1 billion people
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. You need perhaps some personalization for that. Is it the keto diet specific for the man, woman, the 50-year-old man, a 50-year-old woman, difference to a 30-year-old woman, etc., etc., right? So you need personalization, and that is the same when it comes down to sales training and sales gurus and what they say, right? There's so much information out there. The difficulty for anyone wanting to learn this is, where do I start? What do I learn first? Which guru is the right one? Well, you've got to go on your feel, right? Do you like the feel of that person? Do you think that they're authentic? Do they think that you can get you there in the time frame they want? Obviously, there's an element of budget as well, but consume as much information as possible, and then go back to your mentor with that data, that information that you've consumed from everyone, and discuss. That's the key. That's the way you're going to fast track rather your learning, right? So I mean, you, hey, listen, whatever training you can get, take, watch, listen, learn, bring that information back, and then we can discuss it to see whether that's a good fit for you or a bad fit for you, or what's my opinion on it. And therefore, you're not just going in blind. You've got someone else to debate it, to talk about it, and so that you are on a fast track to getting success without having to go through the 30 years that I went through.
Okay, and on that, so even a lot of people that are watching this will be people thinking about leaving their maybe 9 to 5 to get into a personal training job, or maybe
Mhm.
they've just started their personal training business, or they're into fitness, maybe they've been a couple years in the game. For someone brand new who's never sold a thing in their life, terrified at the prospect of selling, how do they go from never done this before, I'm scared, to this is my full-time income, I'm living the life I want, living my
Right.
dreams? What's that progression you would
So
recommend?
first of all, it depends on what they're doing. So if they're starting their own business and they haven't sold anything, okay, then you're taking a big risk by starting your business and you've never sold anything, because physically doing the work of the personal trainer is a lot easier than winning the client. If you don't have the skills to win the clients, your business won't last very long, right? So if you are a personal trainer, so you do need to learn these skills, whether it's for yourself or whether it is to work on someone else. So some people that are watching might be thinking, I've got my own personal training business, but I'm not making enough money. So is there something that I can do to supplement that? And for sure, or they just want to move into becoming what's known in the industry as a high ticket closer, closing offers for companies. And of course, there's many fitness companies out there needing people such as yourself to close. So where did they start from there? Well, number one, the fitness offers are by far the easiest to close, by far, from anything from lead generation, from cryptocurrency, Forex courses, Amazon courses, anything. Fitness offer is the easiest to close. Why? Because the pain is already predetermined. I'm overweight, right? I'm 50 pounds overweight. It's very, very easy to pull out the pain from the potential client. So the only thing, if you're going through a formula and you're going through that framework, and how I teach by moving around to the other side of the table and then working with them to find a solution, the only real objection at the end would be if it's logistical, which means they actually can't afford it. That's the only real objection. There could be a logistical that they're traveling in the next couple of weeks, but you should have found that out before you actually make any offer. And there could be a logistical that they always run something past their partner. That's the way they do it. They just always run it past their partner. But again, you should have found out, but that could be another one. So, if I'm going to spend 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, I personally don't need to run it past my girlfriend. I don't need to run it past my partner, right? Period. But some people do, right? They do. Maybe it's a shared bank account, a shared account. Maybe it's, their money, their partner's money. So therefore they do. And that's logistical. That's not something that they're using as a smokescreen. But other than that, when it comes to weight loss programs, super easy, and they are great fun as well. In particular, if it's weight loss as opposed to, muscle build. Muscle build is slightly different because how do you quantify where that person is? And are the results going to be as great? Losing 50 pounds is very quantifiable. So therefore, it's super, super easy to sell. So anyone that's watching this that's in the fitness and kind of wants to do this, well, you've got a head start because you should know fitness if you're in the fitness game. So that immediately gives you a head start above someone that doesn't know the fitness game, because you're going to have some authority, some knowledge, some confidence in what you do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to know what this industry is about. You need to know how to go about taking your existing skills, which you've probably spoken to clients already, if you've got your own business, or if you worked for someone you've already got someone, and put that into a framework. So you need to learn the skills of the industry. There is a whole industry when it comes to selling that 0.5% of people know about. 0.5% know that there is such a thing of selling a high ticket offer, a high ticket program to people. You just wouldn't know about it unless you magically stumbled across this. But the industry is absolutely huge because there's something like I don't know the latest figures, but the education industry, online programs is massive. So anything over $3,000 really does need someone to take them through the journey over a call or over Zoom, right? The reason is that people are reluctant to press buy now if it's over $3,000. Anything under $3,000 could be done with a buy now button. It's not definitive. It's better if they have a call, but it could be done because there's various stages of psychology that gets people to commit. And once it gets to 3,000, we kind of want to speak to someone. Just before I press that button, I just kind of want to talk to someone. Is this real? Isn't it real? Why is it any different? What's it going to do for me? Etc. Etc. Whereas anything below that, we kind of take a punt on it. Okay, yeah, it looks good, sounds good, reads good, the video's good. Click, buy now. Okay, so how do they get into it? Learn the skills, learn how to get the offers as well, right? There is a process that you need to do to find these jobs, and there are thousands of these jobs. So if you do want to make money, if you do want to earn 5, 10, 15, 20K per month extra, or as your main focus, there is plenty of these jobs out there. So you need to learn about this. Now, obviously, reach out to you, and I'm sure you can point them in the right direction. And if you need to point them to me.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. And Luke, you've helped me so much. I feel like personally, because I was in the gym, I was doing okay here and there, but when it comes to online and especially selling a lot higher ticket, because in the gym I'd be selling, 200, 300, £400 a month maximum.
Mm.
And I'd make the terms really flexible. They see me in person and they see me around the gym and it's a completely different environment to, okay, this is a brand new person on the phone. I don't know who you are. I've just seen an ad online. What's this company? Well, I know I've got a problem, but there's just so many barriers and it's just on the phone as well. And I'm trying to charge 10 times the amount on the call. And I was just getting blown away in terms of struggling a lot. And it was just such a blessing to have Luke or have you available. I'm thinking about you in the third person now, but have you available there to literally break down my thinking process? Because for me, sales is just it's like chess, isn't it? It's just so many different decisions on a call. Someone tells you 5 things. What do you pick up on? What did you hear? Well, they said this, but did they really mean that? Did they mean something else? What was your tone like? You said you responded. You sounded like you wasn't really interested, or you was thinking about the next question. Just so much going on, and it's almost like 100 miles per hour. So just to have that someone listening to the calls, have you listen to the calls and break it down is something that, and I don't think that opportunity really is not necessarily. I haven't heard of that opportunity available, that service available, and I
Mm.
think that's been a complete game changer for me personally. So I suppose, yeah, I mean, I asked you the question, but I suppose in terms of my experience, I've spoke about it on my channel. It's definitely something that's made just accelerated the process just
Mm.
by
Yeah,
10
and
times.
that's the idea is to give you a time crunch, right? A time machine. Try and figure it out on your own. You could land on your feet in day one, but then what quite often happens is you could try it yourself, and everyone can try and do this themselves. But if you think about it, I said, how, ask yourself when you're looking in the mirror, ask yourself, how old am I? And someone comes back and they're 30. Okay, and what was your highest income per month? What was the most you've ever earned? And most people kind of say, yeah, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10K, right? Maybe 15K. I'm talking net take home. I'm not talking before expenses, before paying out for their studio or paying out taxes. I'm talking net. I usually say 5, 6K, but let's say 10K. And so the highest is 10K or 15K, doesn't matter what the number is. And you have taken 30 years to get there. 0 to 30, 10K is your highest income. So why do you think that you can earn 15, 20, 25, 30, 40K per month, or even a consistent 10K with a skill that you've never spent any time learning or had anyone show you what to do, when to do, why to do, how to do it in a short space of time, right? We'd all be doing it if it was that easy.
Mm,
And let's all just quit our jobs and let's just do that. And of course, it's not easy. It's very simple, but that's very different to being easy. There are processes and other things that you got to learn. And I personally don't think you ever stop learning them. And that's why I love this, is I'm always learning new things. I'm learning new things from losses. When I'm listening to calls, when I'm doing my own calls, I learn something new each time of how I could have served the client better. Because in many times when you lose a particular call, you lose it, you don't close, as they call it. Do the client? Probably not, because they jumped on the call to have a problem solved. And if I truly could have solved that problem, pairing them up with the offer that I'm selling, then guess what? They're going to have the pain taken away over a period of time and be in a better place. So if I didn't close from a mistake I made, from not asking the right questions and responding in the right tonality, or coming up with the wrong solution, or getting into battle mode, or doing anything that took me further away from the sale, if that was my fault, then I haven't served the client well. So forget about my income, because I'll make the
mm,
income.
mm,
The more people I solve the problem for, I will make the money. But what about the people that I didn't close? I haven't helped them. So that's how I look at it. I
mm,
completely detach myself from the sale because I know I'll earn 20, 30, 40, 50K a month if I want to put in the work and sell the right product and just be super efficient and go for it. And anybody can do that if they go through that right
mm.
process and understand it.
And you've mentioned that a couple. Oh, sorry, go on.
Crazy the numbers. It's kind of crazy. And I know a lot of people think, really, you can actually earn that kind of money in this industry? You can, and you can do it very, very quickly.
And you've mentioned that a couple times actually about putting in the work. Now, would you advise someone who is new and maybe more green, they can make the money they want by doing more hours, just brute force numbers game, or do you think that's not actually the smartest way to make a great income?
I it's a balance, right? What first of all, why are you doing this? Like I'm at a stage now where I don't have to put in all those silly hours and crazy to earn the money. I'm fortunate enough that I have a great life, all from the closing, by the way. All what I have is from closing. So I have a beachfront house. I live in Spain predominantly, backwards and forwards in the UK. I travel a lot. I go business and first class, very rarely in the back of the plane. And it's all from what I do. And that's not to impress you, but it's to impress upon you and to people watching that this is all achievable. It's all real, right? You can do it. Do you do it from hard work? It's a combination. You can't, if you were to go to the gym, you wanted to become ripped, you could do one or two things. Try and figure it out on your own and just keep going back to the gym and working and lifting heavier, doing longer reps, doing it every single day. And then your muscles don't break down. They don't have time to rest. But you keep doing it because you're thinking, you know what, that's going to be the better thing. Well, that's exactly the same in sales. If you're doing the wrong thing and you're doing too much of it, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get exhausted. You're not going to know what's right, wrong. You don't know what your wins are, whether they were good or just lucky. So therefore, my suggestion isn't to just put in the hours and just keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you're truly dedicated to this, get yourself a mentor with me or someone else. Get yourself a mentor that has done this over and over again, that has true values that align with you, because that's really, really important. There's no point in going and finding me, let's say, and your values are no, let's be brutal, let's be rude to everyone, let's just be the slickest salesperson in the world, and let's come up with all these tricks because that's not what I'm about. So that's not, we wouldn't work well together. That doesn't mean to say that you couldn't find someone that was like you. So it's got to be in alignment, but just like you would expect someone to get a fitness coach if they wanted to lose weight, get fit, get lean, mean, do exactly the same. And that fitness coach wouldn't tell you to, if you wanted to bulk up, okay, let's eat 7 days worth of food in one day. That's not going to work, right? It's going to, you need to spread it out over the right time. You need to eat at the right time in conjunction with the weights. Well, it's exactly the same when it comes down to learning this skill.
Mm. And from this conversation, because I really wanted to even get a full breakdown of your sales process when it comes to selling fitness and health, but it appears that it's just as simple as just come into the call with your experience, with your knowledge of fitness, looking to help the person, and that's the main ingredients. I guess there's a whole systematic process, right? You
There's a
know.
systematic process when it comes down to asking the questions. And the reason being is if I say to you, hey, so what's got you booking a call with me today? Right? That's the first place that we want to start. Okay, we do a bit of preamble and we've talked about this. And by the way, for all those that are watching, when you are working with an offer, when you go on and you get your job and you're working with this offer, whether it's as a what we call a side gig to supplement your income while you're doing your fitness, or as your full-time job, you just want to earn 10 to 15, 20, 30, 40K a month, you will be given the offers process and framework, period. If they're experienced, they'll already give it to you. So when you're new, just think of it this way. When you're new and you're a bit green, you're a little bit nervous to say, that's a load of rubbish. You can't tell them that, can you? He's just got a new job. So you're super, nervous about it. And you'll assume that their framework is right. Well, it's not always right. Just because they've been using it forever and ever doesn't mean to say it's the best way of doing it. So, but you as a green person will want to follow it. So I look at it, I break it down into some simple steps. Is we have what's known as a preamble right at the beginning. Hi, where are you calling from? What time is it? Where you're at, etc. And that's simply just to break the ice to get your tonality right with theirs. Yeah, so a lot of people don't really understand that. And I also want to take control. So I want and I can also find out in my preamble about their money, whether they're married, kids, how motivated they are before I even start the actual call. And the reason I do it before then is because imagine this. Once you get to the stage where you're asking the serious questions, they have their arms folded and now you're into business mode. So I can get a ton of information out to that particular client whilst they're relaxed. It also relaxes me. If you think about it, right? We're going to be working together. You're jumping on a call. You might have another call right after this. You need to relax. You need to understand their tonality. Are they chatty? Are they guarded? You can get all of this in the preamble. If you start the call, and I've had arguments with salespeople and companies, etc. No, go straight into the call or on the call for 35 minutes, etc. So what you can do. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're missing an opportunity, right? Because everything we say on the call, we want to move one step forward to solving the problem. And if I have all that information at the beginning, then guess what? I can structure my call around what I found out right at the beginning. So structure, preamble. Then I want to find out what is their initial view of their problem that made them book the call. So that's their initial view. Doesn't mean it's their emotional view of their problem. It's their initial view of their problem. So if you think about it, I want to lose weight. Well, that's why they booked the call, right? And they might want to lose 50 pounds. It might be 5 pounds. It doesn't really matter. That's why they want to do it. And they probably tell you that they've been trying for 4 years and that they're close to being diabetic and that there's all kinds of different challenges that they've had, knee issues, they can't run anymore, they've got grandkids that they want to, they could tell you all of that in one go, or you need to get that information out throughout the call in a structured way. So once we understand the initial problem, we can then set the agenda. We can then say to them, hey, okay, well, it's fantastic. The way this call is going to work is we're just going to do A, B, and C, just so that I can make sure that I can even help you in the first place. Does that make sense? And then what we do is get a tie down. I want to make sure they give me permission to ask questions. If I don't do that and they don't give me permission, when I ask personal questions, they could throw it at me. Why are you asking me this? I just want to lose weight. Why are you talking to me about X, Y, Z? And now I have to have an awkward rebuttal and explain why. So important. I want to actual understanding, set out my agenda. I want to hand over control, regain control, and make sure that it's at the right pace. So after that, I then want to ask more questions about the problem. Why? Because asking one question about the problem probably didn't really tell me. I want to lose weight. Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to lose weight for 2 years. I want to lose weight. So I thought I'd hear what you have to say, right? That's what you could have. What was the reason you booked the call? I want to lose weight. Okay, you lose weight? Yeah, I've been trying for 2 years and I'd really want to know more. So what you want to do is before you dig into questions, you want to really find out as much as possible about the problem. And then, so it's like looking for gold, X marks the spot, now you dig. So we want what I call them problem identifiers. We need to ask a certain number of questions so that we truly understand the problem, not the emotional, it could be logistical, right? It could be a logical based problem. And then I start to dig into those questions to understand why does it impact them? What have they done already? What happens if nothing happens? What's their goals? How long do they want to achieve the goals? All that kind of good stuff, which is structured, right? It's not in that particular order that I've just rattled off, but that's what we want to do. Find the problem. The next thing after that, finding the problem, we need some basic data. This is where I see a lot of calls go wrong is imagine you're trying to help someone lose weight and you go into all this pain and you go into all the conversations about how it's going to make them feel, what's their goals, what's their motivation, but you've no idea how much weight they want to lose. You've no idea how tall they are. You've no idea how old they are. So therefore, you're kind of clambering around on stuff without some basic data. Now, you don't need much data, but guess what that data does? It gives you a clear picture of your avatar. So in other words, the person that is not in front of you because you're not on Zoom, you're on a call. So you want a nice clear picture of them. You know their age, you know how tall they are, how much the weight, how much they want to lose weight. So you've got some basic data, but it also gives them trust that you're a doctor, you're a fitness expert, analyzing this data rather than having a whole conversation about losing weight, and you've still not asked them, how much weight do you want to lose? What weight are you? How tall are you? How old are you? They're basic fundamentals that builds trust at the start of the call. Because it just doesn't make sense, does it, to go through all the way to the call and you still don't know how old they are, how tall they are, and how much weight they want to lose, how much they weigh and how much they want to lose. And then you go into the pain and the goals and the motivation and all that kind of stuff, which will be on here for hours.
Okay,
But,
okay.
but
Yeah.
it's a simple process, not easy, takes practice, but it is a simple
Mm,
process. And it doesn't matter what you sell. It's the
mm.
same.
Okay, maybe we need a part two. I thought you were going to keep going, but we'll save that for for the next one.
But yeah, we don't want to bore
Well,
everyone.
no, no, no. Well, I've got to watch this again, and even though we talk about this every day, it's so critical, and it just gives you so much comfort to have that system in place. Like I've done this so many times, I don't need a script. I just know, okay, take that off. Dig more into that. Let's explore that. What does that mean? And it's just fun to kind of have that level of competence, and it didn't come overnight, but again, I suppose it's just been week to week, learning, unpacking my thoughts, my thought process, the sales process, and really helping people get there. Well, that was I thought like maybe we should leave that on a high. That's definitely something actionable that anyone watching this can use straight away in their next sales opportunity. And thank you so much. That's been so helpful. And thank you again for helping me personally. I'd never be in this position without your help. And how can people reach out to you, Luke? I want people to experience what I've experienced. How can they get in
Well,
touch with you?
sure. My suggestion is like go through you know, you've got your details from your YouTube. They can connect with you through Instagram, etc., all the socials. And then by all means, that way, then you can pass them on to me and then I'll know they've come from you as well. and it's important that that they like you, because then therefore then the values are going to be similar. Whereas if they just come to me randomly, we've got to go through
Yeah.
that little bit of an understanding. So yeah, connect with you.
Yeah.
It'll help you as well, and then just by all means pass them onwards.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Lucas, you're more private, right? You're more behind the scenes, sales director of different companies versus,
I don't want to be
content
a
everywhere.
big influencer. I've
Mm.
toyed with the idea in the past, but it's just not congruent with my lifestyle of what I want to do. And I actually like the one-to-one. I do a lot of one-to-one, as you know, one-to-one coaching, which I truly love doing. And it's more my thing because it's not as straightforward as watching a couple of videos and hoping that you're going to be a good salesperson. Can you do that? You can try it, but I could watch a couple of videos and try and get muscles like you. Would I get there? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot more to it. That's a perfect example. Even before I even stepped into the gym, I saw my friends try and do it themselves and they drop out within a couple months. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to buy the protein shakes, get my gloves and buy my membership and drop out after a couple months. So the first thing I did was I got a coach. That was the first thing I did. Gave me the blueprint, gave me the expectations of what to expect. And I was just consistent and I got my result. And it's the same exactly with sales.
Yeah.
So it's the laws of maybe it's the laws of the universe, laws of life, however it works, but it definitely works. So yeah. So if you're interested, just hit me up, guys. If you're watching this, and then I'll make an introduction to Luke and then get you the help you need. But Luke, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very
You're
busy
welcome.
man. I really enjoyed this and so many gems, and hopefully we can do another one.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
Amazing. Thank you. And guys, take care. Catch you on the next one.